Associate Technical Manager from Michigan, USA, representing 3A, Shawn Jones.
There's some phrases no one is really ready to hear. For me, that phrase was, "You have brain cancer." I heard this April 1st, 2020, and during the height of the COVID pandemic, the competition part of my brain decided it wasn't intense enough. Or it was a poor April Fool's joke, I don't know at this time. But anyways, I woke up being wheeled into an ambulance at 3 in the morning with my wife looking extremely worried in the driveway. As I got in the ambulance, I was told by the ER tech that I just had a grand mal seizure, which is a seizure that involves violent muscle contractions and loss of consciousness. I'd been in that state for roughly 10 minutes. So from there, I was taken to the hospital, had multiple scans, and then got some more unfortunate news. The ER doctor walked into my room and said, "There's no easy way of saying this, but you have brain cancer." That was tough to hear. There was some more news on that too. It ended up being specified as oligodendroglioma, or once again, my sarcasm kicking in, I like to call it brain cancer light. I call it that for a couple reasons. First, it's very slow growing or has a delay in growth. So outcomes were looking good. But this kicked in the look for the next step, which was brain surgery. So the wife, 1-year-old son, and I decided to drive from Kalamazoo, Michigan to Rochester, Minnesota, 7 hours through a mid-April snowstorm somehow, and get to the Mayo Clinic over there. So when I got to the Mayo Clinic, I got more news that was tough too. COVID pandemic still going on. They had COVID restrictions on everything going. So not only having brain surgery, I had to get dropped off at the hospital and go in alone because they couldn't let anybody come in with me. Another tough thing. So I get in, walking solo. I hear from the doctors, 6 to 8 hours procedure, the high risk associated with it because there's a left temporal lobe around the hippocampus, so a lot of things could go wrong. So honestly, it's tough to say too, but I was extremely scared. I was making jokes in the room, trying to make it work, but I was scared. However, when I got wheeled into the surgery room, I had this bright little light or unexpected solace, something that was good news in it. I saw that distinct Stryker font. Everybody knows that text style. It was on equipment around me. It brought comfort, honestly. And the interesting thing too is I hadn't worked at Stryker at the time. I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan, grew up there, always heard about the products, everybody knew, people connected, but never been truly involved with the company. So just seeing that font brought me some happiness, and it also lit a light in my head, a goal. All right, after I get through all this, I need to find a place at Stryker. So surgery all gets done, everything went well, still had to go through speech therapy for months on end and just recovery. But get back to work, I'm like, all right, new goal kicking in. I'm gonna find a spot at Stryker. And I did, luckily. However, I found more than just a career on making healthcare better. I found a purpose and a promise that we have here. A promise that everyone's opinions, background, education is not only valued, vital, but it's also respected. Everybody has their own voice. So this taught me more on speaking up, being vulnerable, going in front of a large stage and talking like this, which is very vulnerable. But it taught me, sharing your story and listening to other stories. Might not be the same, but I've shared my story many times, more in one-on-ones, less of a big crowd. But it let me learn and give support too. So with all that, my big ask here today is, and everybody in watching online too, is be vulnerable, speak up, share your story, listen to others, and biggest thing, be an ally. Thank you.